Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
So hi guys, and welcome back to Marriage and Bliss. This is a platform where we talk about marriage, we talk about everything that concerns marriage, relationships, and we just want to enrich us as we restore God's order in marriages and relationships. This is Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle. I hope that you have been watching and you have been learning from us. So please kindly just make sure that you engage with us on all our social media platforms. We are on social media at Elevate TV Kenya, at Marriage and Bliss. Just engage with us. Let us talk. Let us bring these talks home so that we enrich one another. And today we have a wonderful topic that we want to talk about that is affecting very many marriages in this generation. People we have seen that have divorced for so many reasons. And today I want us to talk about anxiety and depression in marriage. Anxiety and depression in marriage. Many people are going through it. Some do not know. Some know about it. Some have sought for help from different places. And I hope that this will help you. And to tackle this topic, I found no other than the best person to just speak about this issue and just to break it down for us as we learn. So help me invite Apostle Mr. T. Karibu sana Apostle.
Asante sana.
We are so delighted to have you in this show today.
It's a blessing.
Tunafurahi sana kukuwa na wewe, and I know that you will share a lot of wisdom that will help out people out there.
Amen.
So can you introduce yourself?
I don't know why people call me Apostle Mr. T. But basically it's because I began as a gospel rapper. And yeah, I think Pastor T Mwangi, that name of Apostle is a little bit intimidating. Brother T Mwangi is amazing. And we bless the Lord. I'm the senior pastor, Life Church International Limuru. I'm also the founder, Truth Mentorship Society, an author, married to Waheto Kahora.
Wow.
So I'm a father, and yes, I have the right, the opportunity, the privilege to talk about the matter at hand.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Asante kwa even kukubali kukuja. It is a great honor.
Amen.
So, Pasi, I think we're just going to delve into it. So many people are going through depression. It has been a topic that is out there. It is a discussion that is going on in our social arenas. We are seeing people divorcing, and at the end of the day, we come to find out that depression was the cause, or maybe anxiety was the cause. Some of them do not know. Some of them have problems and they think, ni za kawaida tu, and they continue to with life. What are the causes of, does problems in marriage cause depression, or does depression cause problems in marriage?
Both of them are true. Because man is a triune being. By a triune being, it means you have the body, you have the soul, and you have the spirit. And for the functionality of man, the three entities must be healthy.
Wow.
Now, spiritually, we come to church and we are fed, empowered spiritually. But now when it comes to physically, we eat. But when it comes now to what we call the soul, where we have the seat of emotions, we have the logic, the gate of will, the conscious, the memory, the subconscious, and all these things, that area has been assumed for long, but the wellness of that area is very key, because that's where the whole thing, psychological breakdown, comes in, and we say that so-and-so is depressed, meaning that something is pressing down his emotional kind of engagement. So when you are depressed, you don't operate in your normal parameters. The way you respond, because you see, marriage has logical response and emotional response.
Sure.
So when you are depressed, it means the emotional side is not felt. You know, you're seated there, and we can feel your presence. And sometimes even things you're supposed to participate in, you don't participate. So depression affects marriage. And there are also people who get depressed because of marriage. because there is too much pressure coming. Emotionally, I feel I'm overweight, and emotionally, I feel I can't handle this thing. So I end up now receiving so much negative energy, and I don't know even how to behave. So I create a wall, and I become depressed because marriages are going through different challenges and different battles.
Very true.
Yes.
And with this, having gone through a period of COVID-19 in the previous year, and some people actually went through deep stuff. Some lost their jobs, some lost so many things. And in the process of living, is it that we are always told that men have a cave that they run into when things get tough and they don't want to speak out their mind? And is it that some men went into the cave and the ladies are not able to pull them out of the cave, so they are depressed in there alone, they are not speaking it out?
Basically, I will go to what I call the psychological structure of men and women. They vary.
Yes.
And this one also, because of that psychological variation, it gives us adaptability in different issues. The same issue that a woman is going through, a man can go through, and it will not affect the man. And a man can go through something that a woman cannot go through, or she can go through comfortably. So the psychological infrastructure of many men, I won't say that necessarily there is a cave, but men are logical. Men, psychology is like a game of chess. They are goal-oriented. That's why we love soccer. Because we are looking at the 90th minute, but we have the patience to stay for 90 because we are goal-oriented. And that's why we have no time for soap operas, because it is a series. Women are more of what will be the next thing.
True.
For us is tumalizana na hiki tu, we finish. So because of that psychological infrastructure, you end up now having that when there is a crisis, it might oppress the man at that time because he's trying to formulate. It's like a game of chess. What is my next move? What is my next move? But my goal is to be the king. So I'm trying to move from one box to the other. And once I'm out of box number one, I'm now focusing my energies on box number two. So I've lost my job. I'm out of that box. So I cannot play a pity party and everything. So I need to think the next box is that I'm jobless. How do I survive from here? So those are men. And that is what will stress him. The stress will not be, I lost the job. If he made the move from I'm out of that box to I'm now jobless, the stress will be, what do I do that I'm now jobless? And that might take a toll on him if he doesn't have the next box to move to, because again, the previous box, it's almost impossible. Now, for women, they tend to connect, they tend to mix this current box that I'm in, and they tend also to mix the box I've not yet entered. So they're already in the future thinking how bad it's going to be. And even that box where they are in, they have not yet fit. So they mix this future past. And that's the psychology.
Wow.
Because they say the mindset of a woman is like spaghetti. One thought is connected to the other, and it will connect to another. So it is not just a linear kind. It is interconnected. So you'll find fears of the past will fit to the current situation, and fear of the future will fit to the current situation. So now it becomes a little bit hard for women to endure in some things. But also there are things that men go through, and it becomes very hard for them to endure. Yes.
Wow. You will agree with me. There is so much wisdom that is being released here. I hope you are learning. I hope you have your notebook and your pen just writing down the wisdom that is being released here. So, Apostle, what I get is women process in some very linear, not linear, but intertwined kind of way.
Yes.
And men think in a linear. They want to think the next move. Most of the time, when men think in that next move, they are not able to verbalize it.
Yes.
They're not able to say it out. And most of the time in a tukula huko ndani, and you're not able to express it. Yes, you've said that men are logical beings and women are emotional beings.
Yeah.
They want you to connect to their emotion, and they want to connect to your emotion, but you're not able to bring them to that place.
Yes.
So what would your advice be on a couple that is going through all these issues, and the man is not able to speak it out to the wife?
What I will say is, I think there's a book that was written. Is it Women Are From Mars, Men Are From Venus?
Yes.
Just trying to show the disparity of how unique and different we are, even in our own formation and in our own infrastructure.
Yes.
And even how we operate and do these things. So one of the things is that it is good for men to study and understand women, and it is good for women to study and understand men. Because when a man is silent, it doesn't mean that he's not thinking. And at that time, he's looking for a logical solution.
Wow.
Because there are things you can't feel in life.
Wow.
You know, I'm in this house, the landlord will come end month. I can't afford to think how it will feel when the house is closed. I must think how I need to get the rent. So, but there's also a time for just what I call peace in the house. There are times as a man, you need to know that a woman is projecting her emotions in this conversation, and she's not projecting logic. At that time, you have to say, you know what, logical setting off, emotional setting on. And that time, you know, that is the time you just shake your head and agree with everything. For the sake of peace. Because this person is designed like this. You can't change them. This is how they're supposed to be. The second thing, women need to understand that men are willing to open and share, but they are not willing to open, share, and get interrupted. Interruption simply means how you handle the information I give you will dictate how much more information I can trust you with. You know, because once in a while, I might share something like, you know, job things are not working out. And the next thing, I find you the whole day depressed. Now, because of the information. Because of the information. Now me, I'm on a logical spree. I'm thinking how things need to work out. You're already depressed and you're praying and you're a guy who cook, you know, manna, and you don't even eat. So because of that response, I might withhold other serious information that I feel because I love you. Yes. And I'm like, I don't want to put you into tormentation. I have the capacity to handle this thing as me, but I don't think you have the capacity. Sure. So the way a woman treats the information that she's given will determine how much more. And this is general. Wow. Even if a man shares his weakness and you treat that weakness as a tool of attack, that man will retreat. He might suffer. Speak. Yes. And that's why they say most of the men are allowed in bars. Wow. Men talk in place where other men are drinking. That is the only place where he receives an audience without judgment. So he's very loud there. When he goes home, someone audited and says men speak less than 500 words in a year. You know, imagine that's it. That's story measure. So when you look at 365 days, so he speaks around 500 words in a year, which is not very healthy. And it is the concept of understanding one another. It is also good for men to understand that women are emotional. There are complaints they make, but they are expressing an emotion. You can't take it out of them. Wow. And you must learn to listen to what they are saying, and sometimes you have to listen to how they are saying. Because sometimes the content is not in the words. The content is in the tone. Wow. A lady can tell you niko sawa. The content does not match the tone. So you need to know are you niko sawa. But you niko sawa. Si sawa. If you listen and you're niko sawa, you'll suffer. So you must listen. In fact, they say 68% of our conversation is in the tone. Wow. It's only around 35% that is in the words. The tone speaks the realities. Yes. So that's why you must hear beyond the words and hear the tone. You can see a frustrated tone, a desperate tone, a tired tone. So you have to be a good listener. So you listen to the non-verbal cues. Yes. More than what is being said. Yes. Wow. And guys out there, I know maybe you are going through something. Maybe you are going through a similar situation that Apostle
Pastor T Mwangi is giving unto us. So I hope that you are seeing the number on your screen. The number on your screen is there for you to just call if you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to pray for you and pray with you. Just call the number on your screen. Engage with us on all our social media platforms at Elevate TV Kenya, at Marriage and Bliss, and I am sure that you will get the help you need. Pase, there are people who get into depression because of transitional depression. Maybe they were single and they thought marriage would be this beautiful thing where I come home, chakula inaandaliwa, and everything is okay. Then you're now in marriage and these things are not happening, and now kila kitu, it gets to that point where you're now anxious, and that anxiety brings depression to some extent. What would your take be on transitional kind of depression, either into marriage, into parenthood, into for loss or loss of a job, loss of a loved one? What would your take be?
The first thing is that we can't run away from change. Change is part of us, and everything is changing. And it is so sad if the external world is changing, but you are not changing. There's something we call the ostrich approach. An ostrich has the smallest brain in the jungle. And of course, small brain means shortest memory. So they say an ostrich can be chasing you and then it forgets.
That's how ilikuwa inakukimbiza.
And it changes course. And because of that, what an ostrich does is that when it senses there is a prey, you have to understand the neck is very long, the head is very small, the body is very big. It's when I think of one of the amazing creatures proportionally. And so the ostrich will bury its head in the sand and assume that the fact that I cannot see the opponent does not exist. And there are many people running life with an ostrich approach. They have buried their heads in the sands and they're like, I cannot accept that there is change in the world. We are not in the 21st century, and you're still expecting things to happen as they happened in the 50s, which is not there. A lot of dynamics, women are getting employed, they're getting their money, workplace dynamics, and wherever you are. So the greatest thing that a man ought to change is his attitude.
Wow.
Because life is a product of attitude.
Wow.
Meaning that, and one of the things I encourage people, when you enter into marriage, don't enter with expectations. That is what kills most of, even natural relationship. We are friends, and so if you have an event, like a birthday party for your daughter, and I happen not to come, naturally, if there was no expectation, in your heart you will say, if T had time, T would have come.
True.
And I know the fact that he didn't come is because there was something maybe he was doing, but I know he would have been here.
Yes.
But you see, if you do a birthday party and you say, T is my friend, if there's one person that I'm waiting that he cannot miss his thing, and then I miss, you will be offended.
Yes, true.
So it is these unmet expectations and unconfessed expectations that end up opening a door of offense.
Wow.
So a person becomes offended, and sometimes they don't even talk, but the way they behave,
it
you wonder,
tells you.
what is this with the attitude? But the guy is like, okay, this woman cannot even tell herself to just serve me food. But you see, it was an expectation because you grew in a place where you saw your mother serve food, and you don't even know where this lady grew. Maybe she grew in a place where people are doing self-service, so that you serve what is enough for you. So the lady has the confidence, and the man feels, now Nikama, we are becoming equal in this house. And that means you either now use your position and authority in a way that is not right, just to make a statement. You begin to frustrate people in the house. You give money that is not enough so that they can remember who is in charge.
He's in charge, true.
So transitions are there. And it is good when you get in marriage, don't have any expectations, but build a house that is for the two of you. You agree, this is how we do our stuff, this is how we do, and you have to agree to the minute details. And every opportunity of argument is an opportunity to set a road plate or a roadmap of how this thing ought to be handled. So you will get in, children come and disrupt the whole program.
True.
I remember when there's a time, mostly I have very early mornings, and sometimes the child is there making noise the whole night, and sometimes I just tell my wife, let me just catch a nap on the chair, because the way this child is sleeping and the
The
sleeping
things I have.
styles. So this is our matrimonial bed, but you're now saying this young person has interrupted everything.
A very small
And tomorrow I need to be out in town very early. And this is around 3, and you're like, let me just catch a nap here for 3 hours and allow this young one
to do her theatrics in the bed.
We never thought, sometimes this kid wakes at 3 and begins to drive cars,
In the middle of the night, and you expect
Yes,
them to be
and
asleep.
then the kid is asleep the whole day. So you see, in such an arrangement, you're not saying that I don't want to spend in my matrimonial bed. You're saying this guy is going early for work. So if only he can catch some sleep and just rest, I think it will make sense. I've also seen people who say, you know what, you sleep early, at around 3, I'll hold the baby and just be with the baby. Now, these are dynamics. It doesn't mean that the wife is now sitting on you. This child is not your wife's child. It's the child of the two of you. So your mind has to be open, expectations, and this is where the place of quality marriage counseling comes in. Because people are prepared in advance of what to expect, and they're given the wisdom. So when the matter shows up, you have the wisdom on how to tackle it.
Wow.
And I tell you, it can go south and go south. Because you don't confess expectation. The other person is doing what they think is right. You are offended on the other side. You begin to behave wrongly. Then you offend the other person. And now the two of you are offending each other. And nobody's talking to each other. And by the time you begin to go to the root cause of the matter, and sometimes you don't want to say what is the real issue. You're not saying, why didn't you serve me? Because it sounds silly, but it's an expectation that
you had.
that you had, and it was not met.
Wow. So unmet and unexpressed expectation, which comes in not just for those that are married.
Yeah.
Also for those that are dating. Because relationships are breaking up because I expected you to take me out for the Valentine's weekend, and maybe you did not even show any form of remembrance of the day, or maybe I expected you to buy me cake on my birthday, and that expectation was not met. So you have raised a very important, pertinent issue on burying your head in the sand, like the ostrich approach. There are people who have been ostriches for so long. They have been ostriches for so long on matters that are very important.
Yeah.
There are some that are important to both of them. Some are important to the lady, and some are not important completely to the man. But he needs to express. And you have said there's that point where you tell logic, lala kidogo, then emotion now take over. So for someone who has never seen anyone do that, because sometimes man is created just to pick up from where you have seen. For someone who has not seen that, how would you advise them on now updating and retreat?
I think the reason why there are books, you see, marriage is the only institution where you are given a certificate. The second thing, there is nothing new under the face of the earth. People have gone through, and a lot has been captured when it comes to some of these expected issues in marriage. So I'll expect that you invest a lot in terms of becoming a man. You read a lot of books just trying to understand. Nowadays they call them the other gender. You just read a lot of books trying to understand them, because you're not the first person to be married. And many people will tell you marriage is sustained by wisdom. And wisdom is the epitome of maturity.
Wow.
When a man matures, and maturity is not age, maturity is the ability to handle crisis.
Wow.
Because we have old fools. A friend of mine said, even fools grow old. So,
so they are old and they are foolish.
yes. So we can't, but of course, age comes with experience. People have many experiences, and all of experience, they can give wisdom here and there.
Sure.
But real maturity is the ability to handle crisis. And that ability to handle crisis, it comes with wisdom, because wisdom will pursue peace at the end of the day. Now, you see that ostrich approach. There are different animals that are used when people are going through a conflict, just trying to give the picture. There are people who take also the tortoise approach. They will hide their head and shell up and, this shell, even if you say anything,
can't crack
they
it.
can't feel it. You can't crack it, but the head is hidden. And when things are safe, they take off the head. They don't want to. They don't want war. They can even take the burden and say, "I'm sorry." They just want peace. And there are people who survive like that. There are people who are like the skunk. You know, the skunk. Once you attack the skunk, it produces a very foul, very bad smelling smell. And there are people you just begin an argument,
And
they begin to say words that will just irritate you. They will just irritate you. There's also the porcupine, the one that releases some spikes. Some people, you attach them, they are just there to poke you and spike you. There's also the gorilla. The gorilla is the one that has to win in every debate. You know, even if they are wrong, the conclusion of the matter
is that,
there's nothing you're telling me. And it's a very bad approach, because most of the times when people are going through something, you're a team.
True.
And, I've never seen Manchester competing to see who wins between Manchester. So at the end of the day, they work as a team to win as a team. So even if the wife had more valid points than the husband, what we are trying to say, the team has won, irrespective of which player played well in this match today. Because women are not foolish. We can't say that men have all the wisdom. Women are also very smart. There are things they raise. And when you think at them logically, you're like, by the way, this one makes sense. And most of them are very prophetic. The things they raise also have a prophetic eye. You may not see it nakedly, but later you still come to the same wife and say, by the way, whatever you're saying is true after a loss. So it's good to always avoid the losses. So that for me is the whole scenario when people are dealing with transition, when people are dealing with these kind of expectations, and when these things begin to come up, so that now you're well acquitted and able to handle them.
Wow. Well, this information is is really sinking in. I hope that out there you have identified where you are. Wewe ni gorilla ama wewe ni porcupine. I hope that now that you have known which area you are in, you are able now to work on yourself. So that Percy has said very well that it is about teamwork. And at the end of the day, both of us have won, regardless of whoever has scored the goal or whoever has not scored the goal. It is about teamwork. Out there, I know that some of us have issues because we cannot agree. We cannot simply come down and agree that this is the issue that is eating us up, and this is the issue that we will tackle. So do not touch that dial. We are going to go for a short break so that we take a cup of water, a glass of water, because Apostle is oozing with a lot of wisdom. So please do not touch that dial. This is Marriage and Bliss on Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyles. We love you, we value you, and I know that you are learning from us. Do not touch that dial. See you after the break.
You've been a good enough father. I don't want to be a good enough father.
Let's go, let's go!
Don't quit! Don't quit!
Hey, you know what? I thought your jump roping routine was really good.
I just got a notification that you moved money from our savings into your checking account.
Can we talk about this later?
I wish I lived at your house. Whenever my parents are together, they just fight.
Dude, I can't get a pass from you. It'd be easier to baptize a cat.
I just needed to blow off a little steam, okay?
There's one thing we do well. It's fight.
You do not want World War III to break out in your home.
No, I don't.
Just because you argue a lot doesn't mean that you fight well. You got to plead with God so that he can do what only he can do. Then you got to get out of the way and let him do it. You need to do your fighting in prayer.
Keep fighting the good, keep letting your light shine.
I've never seen anybody do what you did.
It's time for you to take off the gloves and fight for your marriage.
Keep fighting the good.
Lord, we need an army of believers. Lord, call us to battle. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up.
Keep fighting the good, fighting the good, fighting the good fight.
So welcome back to Marriage and Bliss on Elevate TV, Advancing Kingdom Lifestyle. Today we are talking about a topic that is affecting most of us out there, anxiety and depression in marriage. If you have missed the first section of this, I hope that you will find it somewhere. It is all on all our social media platforms. Just go and find it there. Pastor Tim Wangi is sharing a lot of wisdom. Before we went for a break, alituambia that maybe you are a skunk, you are oozing with a lot of bad energy, and maybe you are a porcupine, ukiguzwa tu kidogo already you are spiking, or maybe you are a bear, you have to win in all the arguments. But he summed it up that it is a team, it is about teamwork, and we have to win as a team. So Pastor T, there are people who have gone through depression on their own side. It sometimes does not affect both of us at the same time, but one partner is actually depressed and is in anxiety. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what to get from the marriage. They are not sure of where they want to be even after. And just as you explained, ladies think in some very funny way, and men think in a linear form of method. So would one being depressed and has not shown or expressed their depression or expressed their expectation, would that affect the other partner, and how?
First of all, you've mentioned two words there, depression and anxiety.
Yes.
Depression is like a disease, and you might be a host of a bacteria, and you don't even know the bacteria is there.
Wow.
Until now, the bacteria dominates your body, and you get a system breakdown, and you go to the hospital, and they say you have a bacteria infection, and now they subscribe the antibiotics, or even a virus or a fungal infection. Because I tell you, there are many people who are even depressed and they don't know.
They don't know.
They're just in that status. They might think, I just need my time to think things through. I just need space for me to figure out a few things. But the symptoms of depression are already with them.
Wow.
Now, depression has everything to do with a person trying to think of a matter, but they are not getting the way out. So it wastes them emotionally. It first of all begins by weighing you emotionally to a level now you can enter into redundancy, whereby you lose the energy to do anything, you lose the vigor, you lose the vibrancy, and it can be so severe to a level of what we call is it acute madness? It's like you've lost your mind, you're just there. And people don't know. And sometimes it comes in when there is an issue that affects you emotionally and you don't have a logical solution out of it. And it's an issue you feel you can't share. In fact, they say you can share the same beds, but you don't share the same troubles. Because
Wow.
yeah, the fact that we are bedmates doesn't mean that we share every trouble in life. Because there are even people at their job place, there's too much pressure, there are targets they need to achieve.
Yes.
And you're like, this is bread and butter. I don't want my wife or my husband to work alone. I know I need to deliver. And every time you come home with the wrong energy, and it is possible for workplace pressure to get a toll on you, and you find that, I think this thing is getting too much. I remember sitting with a lady and she told me, actually, I think I'm depressed because even my wife told me I've changed. But it is because of the pressure I get in the workplace. And when I look at this job, it's like this is my livelihood. I can't even think how I'm going to live when I lose the job. Anxiety has everything to do with excitements of the future. It is the what if. What if this thing goes through? What if this thing doesn't go through? So this thing is not in the past. People don't get anxious of the past. People get anxious of possibilities that are in the future. So you have this tender you have given, it's gonna bring you good money and you're not sleeping. You're saying if it goes through, nimeomoka. Hey, spoenda, nimeisha. This looks like it is my life. And anxiety can be so serious to a level whereby you are losing sleep, you are not thinking right, because you're in a tense. You can't wait for that future to manifest.
Right.
So you are in a tense status. And there are people, most of the time, you turn this side, you see the deal going through. You turn this side, it doesn't go through. You turn this side, you see the lorry, it has goods worth 1 million. and you have to call the driver every time. So that's anxiety. It is the fear or the hope of the unknown. It has not yet happened, but you're hoping it's gonna happen or it's still going. So when you're dealing with a depressed person, that's a sick person. And that person, you need to understand them. You need to understand them. And you need to give them empathy, not sympathy.
Wow.
Sympathy is, oh yeah. You see, when a man has a broken leg, person has fallen with a picky nduvi, and they break their leg. You staring at that person is sympathy. And looking at how painful he's feeling, that's sympathy. Empathy is when you pick him and say, you know what, it's gonna hurt, but you need to get to the hospital. So you are giving him solution to what he's going through.
What he's going through.
So there is an essence of caring, but there is an essence of solution.
Wow.
Now, many people, when they meet a depressed person, and some people, even their depression is exaggerated, is because they don't get anyone who gives them empathy. The people who surround them give them sympathy. Sympathy does not heal me. Sympathy can even make me feel this thing is so worse. These guys are just sympathizing with me. You know,
It's
you've
like
lost
I'm
your
dying.
job. Yes, you've lost your job. And someone is coming and you have 3 children, you're paying school fees, and is like, hey, in Nairobi, unasurvivaje ndugu? Ai, you know,
Hata wewe ni
and
mwanaume.
slowly unaangalia unajiambia hii kitu kumbe ni serious. Sikuwa naona kadi serious.
Exactly.
But you see, when you tell them, you know, I just lost, and they're like, hey, dude, don't worry, man. People have lost jobs. Imagine with a small saving, you can do something. And you begin to share opinion and way forward. Already you are speaking life to this person. But the moment it is all about sympathy, that person will never get out. The concept of anxiety, even Christ understood. Jesus himself said, be anxious of nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your request known unto the Father. Now, what was God saying? Anxiety is that thing about the future. So make sure that you have made prayers. That name supplication has the name supplies. These are the things you need. So just mention them in prayer. What will kill anxiety is knowing the will of God and having faith in God.
Wow.
Now, you can't twist the hand of God because of your appetites.
Yes.
So the moment you know your life is run and navigated by God, you will know that even if I don't get this thing, it was in the will of God, because possibly I don't know what God delivered me from.
Very true.
There's a time we were given a contract to supply tippers in Mazeras. And it was a good deal. I think that was my moment to become a millionaire. I don't think if I'll be preaching if that door open. And we even went to the prayer mountain to pray for 3 days. I tell you, we prayed all scriptures. We were preaching to God. You know, Father,
telling him, reminding
Father,
him.
you said your word.
Reminding him you
Yes,
said.
yes. And you know, you can activate false faith.
True.
And we activated faith, and we went and we were ready now for the deal. But the person giving us the deal was a little bit shaky. So he came and said, you know what, price of fuel has increased, so we need to revise the deal. We revised, we're still in business. So when we were looking for the tipper, we went to Nakuru, and these people said, you know what, we have the tipper, we have everything, but we are carrying the weight. He said, let's open a joint account. And in this joint account, we all become signatories. You with the deal, us with the trucks, and the person with the contract, because we're just brokers. And when we talked to the person with the contract, he didn't want that deal. Later we discovered the guy used to be paid, and then he will switch off his phone. We're talking about a deal that was going to make more than 10 million. Now imagine we didn't have the money to pay even for the tippers. So if you see, we were not sleeping at that time, thinking how we'll be rich, moving around Runda by faith, saying, Runda, we are coming.
A house in there.
And you know, the neighborhood. Later is when the deal collapsed that we discovered God saved us big time. Right now we've been committed. Because if they gave us the tippers, we'll not have had the capacity to pay. So that's what now God says. There are doors that will come. They may look shut on your face, but the kind of deliverance that God has delivered you from, you may not see it. Some of them will just come with a no, but God has delivered you. So let's not just begin to see that everything that doesn't go our way, God was not involved. And that is why anxious people lose peace. And anxious people, now they become untamed. You're trying to talk to this person, but they're already in their known future. They are not in the now.
Yes.
But you need a wife and a husband for
who is
now.
now.
When that money comes, well and good. If he doesn't come, you're still my husband. Yes.
It doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change.
I think you have brought up a very important issue. Just right before we got to when God shuts. The importance of having people in your circle.
Yes.
That you share with. Most people actually in this generation have decided to show the world on Facebook and social media, we are doing well, we are okay, everything is going right. Then back behind the curtains, they know that there is something that is not working. There are people who come to church and they are holding hands and everything seems right. But when you go back to their home, there's something that is wrong. What is the importance of friends and people that you surround yourself with in dealing with this depression and anxiety?
The first thing you might think what you're going through is the epitome of trouble until you meet a person who has gone through something more than what you've gone through. My grandfather one day was very sick, and you can underline the word very sick, to a point he was carried to the hospital and almost bedridden. When he arrived in the hospital, a man came, and this man had been attacked by a leopard, and blood was all over his face, and it was just looking very funny.
Very funny.
And they were on the same bench waiting to see the doctor. When that guy arrived, my grandfather looked at the guy and told my grandmother, "Let's go back home. I'm not sick.
Actually,
This one needs the doctor." So that is life. You might think you are very sick until you find a person who has gone through more than what you're facing, and they came out victorious. What the devil likes is for us to think we are the only ones going through the issue, and then you build walls so that nobody comes out, nobody comes in. It was the same concept of a man called, I'm trying to remember. This is the king. David asked, is there any man in the house of Saul that I should show favor? Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was in a place called the Lodebar, a place of no communication. And when man is cut off from communication, that automatically is the place of collapse. You need people you can be real with. You need people you can tell, this thing is collapsing, we are selling this house, or we are selling this car, we are ready to go back to Matatu, and all that. So that now it doesn't look like failure. It is a decision you have made because of the circumstances. And people that can give you advice and not money, because there are people who will be there. And you have to know that people won't stand with you for long, because by the time they are working with you, they also get their own personal things, and they need someone to work with them. So you need, and real people, genuine people you can take off the mask and just talk genuinely. The problem with social media, we just project our medals. Nobody will show you their scars.
True.
And this is the life we live. And that is why, naturally they say, if all you do is show us your medals, you don't help anybody, because medals intimidate. And that's why, like I was looking at the television, there is a famous actor. We all saw him on TV. Now he's going through a crisis. But you see, all along, as celebrities, we show people our medals. And people feel you're okay. And they get intimidated. They can't even get in your circle. They feel, oh, so these are the guys you hang out with. So this is where you eat. And you're like, hey, sisi, wacha tuendele kuteseka. Tukifika your level, it will be okay. But in life, when you share your scars, you are sharing the secret of your medals. And very few people want to share their scars because they want to show their medals and they don't share the secrets of their medals. And many people get intimidated with medals, but people connect with the scars, because what you have gone through, someone has gone through. And how you came out is already a solution to that person. And that's why anywhere, even people who don't believe in God, testimonies are very powerful, because they address their very solution. It's also good to understand also what we call the psychological structure. It's also good to understand that women talk in details, and men talk in headlines.
Summary.
Yes. I tell you, you put a man here and a woman here, and you give them the same topic. By 30 minutes, the women will be now finishing the introduction. By 5 minutes, the men
We'll have finished
yeah,
everything.
they will have finished everything. They have nothing else to discuss. So, and that begins to tell you that because of that nature, it is easier for women to get help because they speak to the core. Men will give you headlines, and it is either when a man is about to hit rock bottom that he will be real and tell you, know what, but they have been going through 1, 2, 3. But men learn a lot by observation. I know people are talking on 14th about men conference. It is very hard to have a man advise another man.
True.
Because of ego. A man will ask, so what makes you think you can manage my house? And then you come and say, you know, hi guys, I've been married for 3 years. And then 4 years and above, they're like, dude, sumalize miaka nne kwanza
hauna kitu ya kutuambia.
unajua miaka 10 vile inakaa kwa ndoa. You know, the same way there was a girl who performed very well nationally. And she began to give advice on academics. And guys in campus were saying, hey, come slowly. This was just KCSE, you know. You have no authority to think you can lecture us. And you see, it's not that she was not saying the real thing. It's only that there's a person who feels in this level. You know, what do you know about this level? And that's why the best thing men do is they observe. But the worst thing women do, they compare. So I remember the first lesson I learned, I saw one of the pastors change diapers in church. And through that observation, I learned a lesson that changing diapers is not for women. Because I grew in a culture I never saw my dad.
True.
I can't remember a memory of my dad changing diapers or even washing a child. I think we used to be handed over when we were very old. But through that observation, that pastor did not need to tell me men ought to change diapers.
Yes.
If the man would have called me and tell me, hey, Pasi, you're not about to get a child, but then you need to learn how to change diapers. Kina ni nani ningemwambia? Wewe ni nani ningemwambia? Mambo ya diapers. So, and that's why when you have friends, people you can talk to, a man can observe many things. He can go and say, you guys were in a 3-bedroom. How comes you're in 1 bedroom? And he's like, you know, life was not very okay, so we decided to adjust. And he's like, okay, so adjusting is not failure. But when you sit down and tell him, you guys need to change your life, it will be, who told you I'm not able? So those are some of the very unique dynamics because you're dealing with an ego-centered person and they might go through a crisis and their ego have to be massaged. Wow. So men love through observation. And that's why it's very healthy when one couple visits another couple. There are so many things men learn, but they don't say. When they go home is when they begin to practice. And you see him in the kitchen and they're like, okay, what happened? And he's like,
what changed?
Yeah, what changed?
I see. I saw something. I think guys out there, we are learning a lot from Pastor Tim Wangi. I know you are learning. Men do change diapers, but you have to see it. You have to see it. Yeah. And I believe that it is a very important topic that we are handling.
Yes.
That people need to create those inner circles,
yes,
that they visit one another, because we will learn from that. We will learn. Pastor T, away from being Pastor T, does go to the kitchen.
Yeah, there's a time we had a couple at home, and it's a couple we discuss. And that time I think there's something they were discussing, and my wife and I were quiet. And that night when we slept, we said, hey, we think we have issues. I'm using that couple. We didn't tell the couple. But I tell you, you know, for us, we were like, I think, Mungu ni mwema. We don't argue about these things.
Small things.
Yeah, so sometimes you might think you guys have real fights. And I want to believe that couple, for them maybe it was normal, you know, this is how we talk.
Yes.
And so it helps easen up, loosen up. There are things you hear, there are things maybe your wife was saying it's not right, and you hear from another source, and you're like, by the way, now I get it, it's not right. And there are things you're also trying to say, we need to do this, and your wife hears from other sources. You know, sometimes wives are talking and you're like, hiyo kwanza hiyo, mwambie kabisa. Hiyo ndo na hapo ndo nakuanga nikiumia.
True, very true.
So that circle is very key. It's very healthy.
It's very important.
Yes.
We are almost there. How does depression, now there are people who are already in it, how does it affect intimacy in any way? Or maybe the question would be, does it affect, and maybe how?
Of course it affects. We're emotional beings. And I tell you, for women, intimacy is more emotional than it is physical. They must feel it, they must be in it. For men, it's a little bit different, but I tell you the truth. When you are depressed, really depressed, this is a disease. The same way sometimes even you are sick and you have no appetite for food. It's not that there is no food, but you're just
don't
sick.
have the
So at this level, at the very lowest level of your emotions, these things don't look like priorities. They look like luxury.
True.
Imagine you're in depression because you need $1 million. What is intimacy at that level? It looks like we have no priorities in this house.
Very true. Very true.
We have no priorities. So it affects, and it's such a bad thing. Also, there are people who use intimacy, and to be very specific, sex, as a way of releasing pressure. So again, it can come to a level whereby you feel this person is not necessarily approaching me from a place of love, but it looks like I'm just an object of tension release. So again, it affects. Because you see, intimacy is intimacy. So you have to get the realities of where I am, where I'm coming from. I don't just want you to come and look like uko nje kimumana and then you're here bringing all the baggage. So there must be communication and conversations and all that. So it can affect in the two ways. Some people use this as a tension reliever. And some people also retreat because they feel this is not a priority. So you cannot say that we'll be waiting for situations to happen so that I can be the tension reliever. And when it gets to a level, there are people who even don't talk. The whole concept, before even people get physical, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of talk. That warmth has to be in the house. So you really feel this house is cold and we are not talking. It's just a strange place to live. What makes life worth living is communication. Community is a product of communication. Yes, talking to each other, not at each other.
And I think in this day and era, people are more of social media than just talking to one another. And sometimes you find they are willing to talk on social media, create a WhatsApp group, Saidina Chumvi, pass me water, than just to talk to this person. What is the importance of having physical talks?
Because I said, you can't pass your tone on a message. It's just a text. There's a lot of decorum. But when you use words and there's a tone, we are able to pick what you're not saying. And marriage is sustained by conversations. Because sometimes there is what you don't say, and I still hear it in a way that you didn't say. So you didn't say it, but I heard it, and I heard it the way I wanted to hear.
Yes.
And those are some of the things that create a lot of tension. The wisdom is it's better you talk more than talk less. It's better too much information than less information, because through that you are able to understand very many things. And it's something you train yourself. This has nothing to do with personality. If you're living with a woman and you're a man, you need to update her more than Facebook.
You have to.
If you're a woman and you're living with a man, you still have to drive the conversation. Even now, my wife still tells me, okay, what were you trying to say? Because I speak in headlines. In less than 5 minutes,
You're done.
Yeah, I'll go to the house and tell her, by the house church, it was good. We preached, people came. I even did an interview, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We finished. And the next thing she's like, okay, how was church? And I'm like, okay,
what did I just say? What did I just say? I think I just...
Yeah, so far she wants to know, guys came, there was praise and worship, they were wearing white. And then I shared the word. I gave this summary, and then I walked out, opened the office door. Then there was tea. I put three teaspoons of sugar. And the one who served you, so and so was the one who was serving me.
You have to update everything.
Yeah, you have to update and make sure now there's no loophole. And we learn this thing with time. So it's better more communication than less communication. Because it's so sad when people say what you never say. Because assumption is created where there was no information. And you can't kill the room of assumption. If I go now and sit in the house and I say nothing, my wife might think, are you okay? Have I wronged you? Those are the things that are running through. And when she talks to me and I'm like, okay, just give me a minute, I need to think. And she's like, okay, Kwani, what's happening with this guy? If I sleep without saying anything, I cannot deny her the opportunity of assumptions. She will have 1,000 ideas running. So the easiest thing is communicate so that that space of assumption is cut out.
Wow,
Yes.
wow. This is very important. Communicate. So, Pastor T,
Yes.
I want you to look at this camera and just talk to someone out there who is undergoing these issues and need help and maybe do not know how and where to get this help. Just talk to them.
I'll say life is a product of attitude, and every battle you win externally, you first have to win it internally. The greatest battle is not external, it's internal. And battles and life is about attitude. And you know, there's this common phrase that says, Lord, give me the wisdom to know, and the serenity to know the things I can change and to accept the things I cannot change. So that should be the law of life, because there are many people trying to change things, but those things are beyond them. They can't change them. So what happens if it rains today, and this is the wisdom, if it rains today and you had a business whereby you needed to open that business, you have two options. One is stay in the house and complain that it rained, and stay in the house and waste the day. The second thing is look for an umbrella and walk in the rain. Now you can't stop the rain, but your attitude is you have a gadget that can shield you from the rain. So that is attitude, meaning that you're looking at an umbrella as a gadget and you're saying, I cannot change the rain, but I can change my attitude about the rain. And that is life, and that will keep you for long.
Wow. I hope you have learned. I hope you have learned so much from this conversation that the Bible also says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. The greatest battle you win externally, you have to have won it internally. Pastor T, you have shared a lot of wisdom that people will implement. I believe that our viewers will implement, and people even beyond will also implement whatever we have said. Kindly share everywhere everything that we have said. If the nuggets that you have gotten, just write them down and please write it is from Apostle T. Pastor T Mwangi. So Pastor T Mwangi, thank you very much for coming. We are really honored and privileged to have you. I know you have a busy schedule with a lot of activities, but you spared time to have us here. Thank you very much, our viewers, for being there and not touching that dial. I believe that there is something coming up, and I believe that you will learn. This is Marriage and Bliss. My name is Kanjagwa on Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle. See you next week. Same time, same place. Baraka.
Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Can we talk about this later?
I wish I lived at your house. Whenever my parents are together, they just fight.
Army of believers, Lord, call us to battle. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up.
Fighting the good, fighting the good, fighting the good fight.
This is CBN Newswatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Heather Sells. A second day of Arctic temperatures and rolling blackouts across Middle America as winter weather freezes over entire regions. The dangerous conditions are putting millions of people and infrastructures at risk. Caitlin Burke has our report.